if you're an influencer who wants to get noticed by companies for brand deals, there's a whole realm of opportunities for you to get noticed by these companies. I want to break down 3 things that you can be considering doing inside of your business to get the attention of these companies. But there are so many more than just these 3, and we talk about them inside of our influencer playlist here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you follow it. I'll link it down below for you. The first thing is to pay attention to the hashtags that these companies are following. So you want to be aware of the accounts, so the people, the different types of content that they're following, and specifically the hashtags. This is going to be relevant to you because you understand their mindset, their viewpoint, what they're looking at, the content creators who are under those hashtags. And more specifically, you're going to want to use those hashtags because if you're using the lower ranking hashtags, the ones that less people are putting content in on, you're much more likely to show up on their explore tabs, their For You pages, and in their suggested content. This is a good opportunity for you to create content relevant to them. Now, we recently did a video on how you can be finding what hashtags people follow on Instagram. It's actually really easy to do. I'll link that down below for you. And you're going to start making a list of the hashtags that these companies are following. If you can find crossover hashtags, even better, from multiple companies that are following the same things, lean heavily into those. And keep in mind that the social platforms, they've said less hashtags are better. Instagram has flat out said 5 hashtags or less, or you confuse the algorithm. That's a good rule to follow. YouTube is 3 hashtags, period. And TikTok allows you to have a bunch of them, but less is more, again, to not confuse the algorithm. So look at the hashtags that these companies are following and start making content that is relevant to that and relevant to the company that you are going to be working with. Now, you also want to be creating content similar to what they are creating because these companies are looking for things that match their brand. They are looking for videos, they are looking for photos that match their colors, their energy, the vibes that they're giving out, and the conversations that they're having. You cannot do your own thing and just assume they're going to find something that works for them. You have to make content that does work for them. So start doing your research, start looking up what these companies are doing, who they're working with, who they're hiring. We've actually talked about how to find the ads that people are running on Facebook. I will put that, it's in the Facebook playlist, so check that one out. But it shows you what ads they're running, so you can actually see how they're marketing and who they're working with. It's a really easy and effective way to create similar content, and you're going to start creating content in that framework with that lens and viewpoint that they're creating. This might mean paying attention to the colors they're using, the conversations that they're having, how quick they're editing their videos. Are they having direct-to-camera videos? Are they doing more commercialized content? Are they doing more storytelling content? Pay attention to what they are doing and start crafting your content to go with that. That doesn't mean that across the board you have to change your content, but it does mean you have to have good, valuable examples and consistent examples of how you can fit into what they're already doing. They're not looking for new. They're not looking for innovative. They're looking for things that match, are relevant, and will speak to their curated audience, and then they will bring you in on that because you have innovative twists on that. So they don't want things that are totally out of left field. They want what feels comfortable and what works with their brand with new twists to it. And this, again, goes back to how they're going to be hiring people to work with. They might be hiring you to create content for your audience, in which case they are going to look a little bit more for your pizzazz because they are going to your warm audience. They could also be hiring you to create content for their platforms, in which case you have to be much more related to what they are doing. So create as much content as possible that could potentially work for them as good examples of why you would be a good person to work with for them. All of that into consideration, you're going to start creating more and more content that is going to be helpful and relevant to what they are doing. Now, the other thing is when you're creating content, you don't just want to be creating content. You do want to be creating content with their products and services, but not just with theirs, with their competitors. Because I know that there are companies that you want to work with. But if you only talk about them all the time, you're A, giving them a ton of free advertising. Do they really need to hire you? And B, you're alienating and isolating other people that could potentially be working with you. So let's talk about this. If you are somebody who absolutely loves, let's say, Starbucks, and you create a ton of Starbucks content, who's not going to hire you? Their competitors. Because if you're only ever talking about Starbucks, why would they hire you? If, however, you're talking about Starbucks and Dunkin' and all the other coffee places that I don't know because I don't drink coffee, now you're relevant to a lot of different audiences. So you can show off those different lattes that you're getting and the scones that you're getting and all the stuff that you love from these companies. Show it off in a way that highlights them a little bit, but highlights more of the products and the things that you are loving. So let's say you are a tech person. I'm a Canon girl over here using my Canon cameras. And if Canon came knocking, 100% I would sign with them. But if I constantly and only spoke about Canon and I just sung Canon's praises, sure, it would get their attention, but it would alienate Nikon. Wow, that was difficult. It would alienate Nikon. It would alienate Sony and some of the other camera platforms that I might want to be working with. So by talking about technology as a whole, by talking about camera information and gear and lenses and talking about the different products and services that I use with them, now I have opened up the door for their competitors to come to me as well, even though the majority of my technology is Canon based. So you want to make sure you're using their products, their services, but also the competitors and talking about it as a whole. You're doing this universal umbrella look at it rather than being a cheerleader just for one company, because then potentially could cost you some business. So you want to be very clear on how you're doing this, and you want to be using as much content as possible to get out in front of relevant audiences, because I want to talk about tech and gear. I want to talk about cameras. And should I work with Canon? Absolutely. But should I potentially work with some other companies? Yeah, because I have that knowledge, I have that experience, and I can be there to represent them as well. And you can too, depending on what you're doing inside of your genres and your industries. So when you want to be getting these different companies' attention, your goal is to be relevant, to be present, and to be shown to these people, and to do things that's going to benefit them and potentially other people that you're not thinking of that can come in from the side and scoop you up, which could then, by the way, also lead to those brand deals with the big companies. Let's just say, for example, I am creating content and I'm doing all the technology things and Sony comes and snaps me up for this. Canon might get their attention on me by seeing what I'm doing for them as well and bring me into what they're doing too. You have the opportunity to reach out to a lot of different brands by doing your research, by creating relevant content, and by continuing to put out content after content after content that is going to match what they need. It's going to make it really hard for them to say no or to overlook you as you continue to do this for the next coming months, years, and longer. Questions on how to get different brands' attention, go ahead and drop it down below. There's a full playlist on influencership so that you can learn how to level up and make this your most profitable influencer year ever. We're also dropping daily videos to help you navigate the world of social media marketing, content creation without the time and stress, and how to create luxury time in your business so that you can live your best life while also running your business that's working for you while you're not there, hands-on every minute of every day. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.